Hi, I'm Tommy Parker with MMAtalk.tv. I'm here with the big man Dayman Lake down at Combat Sports Academy in Strood. Now, Dayman, mate, you've been making waves in MMA for a while, with some interesting statements as well. And you had a loss with Darren Taylor at UCMMA 30.
Yeah.
I just want to know, like, what was that fight like for you, and what did you take away from it?
I mean, obviously I was massively gutted because as far as I was concerned, it was a very winnable fight for myself, but it just didn't go right for me. Went perfectly for Taylor. I mean, he did the right thing, caught me with a sweet shot and didn't let me up. And he got the win. I mean, he was relentless. I mean, fair play to the geezer, because if he'd let me up, he'd have been in trouble, and I think he knows that. So I think that went well for him, and all I can take away from that is, unlucky, one on the chin, move on.
It's an unlucky one, yeah?
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
You've got a couple fights coming up in the future. You've got two lined up. Yeah. One's in the States, is that right?
Yeah, Kansas.
Tell us a little bit about both of them.
Well, I've got Paul Taylor up on June the 1st on UCMMA in London. That should be a good one. He's already previously beaten a teammate of mine, so you could say there's a bit of revenge involved. And then after that one, I've got one in Kansas City for a show called XCC against a guy called Jake Hoon, who's a notable guy. He used to train with Demetrius, what's his name? No, DeMarcus Johnson. Sorry, he used to train with him in America. Now he's moved over to ATT. He's putting some work in, so it'd be a good scout for myself, and I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
So which teammate was it he beat?
Carl Kinslow.
That's right. So we just interviewed Carl as well. Now, there's definitely going to be some revenge.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what have you been doing to prepare for that fight, mate?
All I do is concentrate on my game. I don't really worry about Paul's game because I'm going to implement my will. So I'll be doing all my usual stuff, my intensive striking, my grappling, my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu. It's all just upping everything I've got to bring to the table. If he can handle what I've got, he's a good man. If not, it's mine. Simple as that. Yeah,
is all your training done in Combat Sports Academy?
Well, I move about a little bit. I get to, there's a gym called Pound for Pound. Mr. Julius Francis, he brings on my boxing tremendously. He's a great guy. When I first got there, he sort of treated me like a kid and was just sort of pouring at me and moving me around. I felt like a small child, but now I'm like, we're having real battles, and it's really getting good. My boxing, I feel, is tremendous, really. So we'll see what happens on the night.
There might be some nice knockouts then.
We'll see.
So highlight reel.
We'll see what happens.
So did you start off here?
Yes, I started off here 4.5 years ago now.
4.5 years.
Yeah, I walked in here a 22-stone security guard, just looking to get a bit fit. Here I am, 11th in the country 4 years later. So.
Still doing security?
Yes, I do door work on the weekends, yeah, just to boost up my money a little bit. I've got 2 kids, plenty of mouths to feed, do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So what do you do for work in between that?
I mean, I do the security on the weekends. During the week, I'm a lift engineer, which in itself is not an easy job. It's very hard to cram that in, and training and security, but, needs must. I want to get to the
You're a big guy
in the world.
Engineer as well, getting in those spaces.
Well, yeah, it can be quite awkward. Especially doing up like 6mm nuts in tiny little cracks. But, I get it done.
I can just picture it. So how many hours a week do you guys to cram into the training?
If I can, I try and get at least 2 hours a day, bare minimum, if not more. I mean, my missus, she's very understanding, but obviously at the same token, she wants me to be a part of my kids' lives, and it's very difficult to get the best of both worlds, so I try my best.
Are your kids old enough to be watching your fights?
They quite happily watch. Whether they understand or not is a different issue. I mean, my little girl, she's 4. She's a very comprehensive 4-year-old. And she's always asking me, how did I get on? Did I win? Is the guy in hospital? All of that. My little boy's just 1. He just likes to punch anything anyway, so I think he's halfway there.
Yeah, you're going to have him.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I've seen you mention in other areas that when people have complimented you on your record and your wins, and you've mentioned how, well, if you're fighting over-the-hill fighters and overweight fighters and whatnot, it's not that much of an accomplishment. Now, I know we just spoke a bit about Paul Taylor, but he has knocked out Scott Saward, who's very big, and Carl, who's a big lad, big strong lad as well, and we know Carl can take a good hit as well. Definitely. So, and then you've got Hoon right after. Do you think that either of these guys are what you would call a valid, good?
Yeah, they're both very formidable opponents. I mean, I never underestimate anybody. I mean, a famous saying from my head coach Lee Johnson is never give a mug a chance. Now, I'm not calling Paul Taylor a mug, don't take me wrong, but what I'm saying is I take everyone as what they're worth. I mean, Paul Taylor's got a few wins, he's got a little bit of noise around him at the minute, so hopefully I'm going to quieten that noise and then move on to the next guy and quiet his noise. That's really as simple as I see it.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. And after that, I mean, it's not about calling people out, but is there anyone that you think would be like a proper challenge for you? Like someone you'd like to fight that if you beat them, you'd feel like you've really shown how much work you put into the fighting game?
If I'm totally honest, I'm going to be totally honest, my ego would make me fight absolutely anybody at any time. So I leave the matchmaking to my management. Otherwise, I get carried away.
Okay, fair enough. Any show, any person, any time.
That's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were you doing before you got into MMA? I know you're doing a bit of security guard and that, but like, I always like to find out what the contrast is in the person's life from before they did training and then after they did, especially someone who ends up going into the octagon. And
yeah, I mean. Literally all I did was security work. I came out of school, milled about for a few years, didn't really know what I was doing, got into the security because I thought I'd use my size to my advantage. So I did that. I managed to get quite a few promotions in the company I was in. And then there was a bit of office politics and they didn't really want me where I was, so I left that job and was unemployed for a little while. Then a mate of mine, that's when I got massively overweight, and a mate of mine was like, let's do some boxing. So we looked at boxing and it didn't really happen, and we ended up doing this. 2 years later, we're both pros and kicking ass. So
that's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that sort of story myself.
You've managed to secure yourself a sponsor. Is that your one and only sponsor?
Yes, well, I've got two. I've got Impact LPA, an up-and-coming clothing and MMA apparel company. They're making waves. That's the face of Impact right there.
Yeah.
And then I've got Solo Sports Supplements. They've been with me from when I was an amateur back in like 2008. Tremendously driven Gary Hawkins. He's amazing, nutritional expert, and he knows his supplements inside out. He's helped me a lot. I mean, he's probably the main reason why I went from 22 stone with a beer belly and a last that I left behind to like six pack and all that. Yeah. He definitely knows what he's talking about. He helps me get the best out of my body, so I thank him tremendously for that.
Yeah. So you very strict with your diet?
Yes. I mean, when I'm sort of off season, everybody has a little splurge, eat a bit of McDonald's, why not? But when it's time to fight, I'm clean as they come.
Bang on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you one of these people that munches a Nando's before the fight, after the weigh-in?
I'm not really. Nando's doesn't really do it for me. Don't get me wrong, Nando's is nice and all that, but
it's all right. They don't sponsor you or anything.
Yeah. No, but I'll go wherever the boys are going. I'm not really.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'll just pick something decent from there. Yeah.
So I mean, you're a very confident guy, but your confidence is justified because you're focused on what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Your head's straight. Do you get much butterflies before the fight? And if you do, how do you deal with it? Have you got any little pre-fight rituals or?
To be totally honest, it's all about mental association with me. The only reason you get butterflies is because you're worried what the other guy's going to do. Now, the minute I think he might do this, I'll push that out and go, that's all right, because I'll do that. There's always a counter in my head for whatever mental battle's going on. So 9 times out of 10, I'm fine, because I know I've prepared well. A fight's a fight at the end of the day. If he's the better man on the day, he's the better man on the day. I can't preempt that, so there's no point worrying about it.
Do you research your opponents as much, like watch videos of them and premeditate the fight at all?
No. All I do is I leave that to my management and my coaches. They'll see what I should work on. I'll work on that. I'll go in there and I'll do it. Because the thing with me is, if I look at something too much, I'll look for it in a fight. And if you look for that, you miss other opportunities.
Right.
So I literally structure my training around what I'm talking. Yes,
well.
Exactly. So I structure my training around what my coaches want me to do, then do what I've got to do when I'm in there.
So you start off in boxing and that. Do you still do any boxing bouts at all?
I originally had 2 boxing bouts lined up for May and June, just because I was in a bit of an off-season period. I've had a bit of time out for personal reasons, but this Paul Taylor fight came out, so I thought we'll scrap the boxing, we'll get straight. MMA is my love, so that's
MMA's your love.
Important. Absolutely, yeah. I was going to do two boxing bouts, one in London, one locally around here, but we'll leave them alone.
But would you still pick them up if someone offered?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
But you're aiming. I mean, I got the feeling when I've seen some of your statements, and it seems like you're aiming high. You want to go up to. You'd be looking for UFC?
I definitely want to get there. Definitely want to get there. Yeah, definitely. This isn't just like a hobby. This is a career for me. Yeah, this is a career.
You're building
Unfortunately,
a career.
I can't push as hard as a lot of other fighters in this country are. As soon as I get the opportunity, I'll grab it with both hands and I'll run with it. That's definitely the aim. Definitely.
So have you got any other sort of interests and hobbies, the life outside of the training?
I'm the most antisocial person you'll ever meet. I don't go out, I don't drink, I don't really interface with anybody that hasn't got any sort of similarities with me, generally. I mean, there's a lot of people I've met in this gym that I probably wouldn't even talk to in everyday life, but just because we share this interest, there's a bond. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to come across as arrogant, but that's just how I am. Like,
keep yourself to yourself.
That's it. I prefer my own company. Even my missus, it drives her crazy because I won't even talk to people when we're out and things like that. I can't help it. I'm really.
And being a big lad and everything, it must come across the wrong way, innit?
Yeah. I really don't. I don't mean to put across the wrong impression about myself, but I'm literally, call it shy if you will. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't really interface with people. It's not really me. So really, I just eat, sleep, train, work, see the kids.
And you're happy like that, innit?
I'm good as gold. Yeah, I'm good as gold. Yeah.
So is there any, you have any martial arts films you used to like as a kid, or any particular fighters that inspired you?
When I was younger, I mean, this is very cliche, but everybody says Bruce Lee, right? Yeah. And when I was younger, I used to watch all Bruce Lee films. I took up Wing Chun, I took up Jeet Kune Do, I took up karate. I did it all as a kid. Lost interest. To be honest, I sort of went a bit wayward as a child. Like, I messed up my education. I went to a grammar school, messed all that up, fell right off the rails, and then sort of worked my way back into some sort of like industry, so to speak, some sort of trade, and sort of had a couple of kids and worked my way back into sort of a sensible life from there, if you know what I mean. So when I took up all those martial arts, I sort of left that all behind. So really, you could say fighting was in me from a young age anyway. So yeah, Bruce.
How old were you when you finished doing it? Like how long did you do it for, and what age?
I mean, on and off, I did sort of traditional martial arts from the age of about 8 till about, on and off till about 19. On and off, yeah.
So you have had quite a bit of traditional background in that, and
yes and no.
There's nothing straight through to black belt, but bits and bobs.
Bits and bobs, exactly. I'd say I've taken little bits away from all of it.
I think that makes a big difference as well for you, because I know that there's a lot of MMA fighters at the moment that I interview as well, and they may have done like 1 or 2 years training, but they've never done anything else before at all. And I wonder how. Like, to me, that's quite incredible to actually do that and then be confident enough to get in the octagon when you've had no formal thing. Because I've done martial arts for 23 years and I haven't even gone in the cage. Do you know what I mean? And I just wondered, like, there must be elements of that gives you an edge.
The thing is, everybody's capabilities are different. I mean, there's your average Joe who's never even thrown a punch in the gym in his life, and he could well be the worst fight you've ever come across. So I don't take anything, I take everything on face value. But personally, when I came into this gym as an overweight security guard, it was noticed by the coaches that I was very quick for my size, very agile for my size, and I think that would stem from the background of training I'd had before. I mean, there aren't many 22 stone guys that be rolling about, flipping guys half his size and all that sort of stuff. Just literally natural agility, which I knew I had, sort of thing. So I'd say, yeah, it gives me a little bit of an edge, but I'm not going to go in there thinking, right, I'm 10 times better than you just because I've had. You can't really do that. You got to take.
Think you were the type that used to watch it on a film and be able to perform it? You don't practice what you saw?
I would do that. Yeah, I would. I'd be in the garden doing Jean-Claude Van Damme kicks and all that. Like, yeah,
that's not such a bad thing. I mean, as a human being, that's how you learn. Sometimes you mimic what you see.
Exactly.
And, to a certain extent, you can actually.
Of course you can. I mean, if you pay enough attention and get enough of the fine details of what you see, you can do anything in this world. Absolutely anything. As long as you put your mind to it, anything's achievable. And I think there's a lot of people like John Bones Jones who are like valid examples of that, because they came into the game very young, very well schooled, and took it by storm just by applying themselves. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. But is there anyone in particular that's been? I mean, I know you watch Bruce Lee and that, but professional fighter-wise, is there anyone that's been an inspiration to you?
Fedor Emelianenko. I'll say it till the day I die. He was the biggest inspiration for me. When I was fat, eating pizza, watching MMA, thinking these guys are crazy. Like, he was the guy I'd be looking at, thinking, wow. Because in the very beginning, like the Pride days, didn't matter who you put him against, didn't matter what was going on. Even if you saw him get hurt and you think, oh, he might lose. No, comes out on top every single time. Just resilience, strict training. I mean, the guy will be out in the woods spinning around 1,000 times and then shadowboxing. Who does that? Who does that? And that's why when you hurt him and he's rocked, he can still do what he's got to do, because he's put that little bit of extra in that most guys wouldn't, you know? He's fought guys twice his size, still come out on top. He's just...
Do you ever train in the great outdoors, aside from the gym?
Only like, I'll do like...
We'll do a Rocky montage.
I do hill sprints, sometimes like little runs in the woods and things like that, but nothing eccentric. Yeah, not really. That's not really my style. I'd rather come in where we can brainstorm some things with some guys and bounce some ideas off each other, because I think that a lot of the time that's a lot of the preparation itself, brainstorming ideas, because it's all well and good getting in and just punching a punch bag, but if you haven't got like the concept behind what you're doing, it's literally just like mindless. Do you know what I mean? And fighting is a lot to do with your mind. So
are you creating your own, not your own martial art? I mean, your own style, your style of fight.
I'd say so, because there's a lot of. I'll come back to John Jones. His style is very unique. I mean, yeah, people throw elbows, but no one throws them how Johnny does, because he's structured it differently. Like, this is applicable here. This guy is in this position, so I'm going to do this, and it's not what he's expecting. And that's what makes him unique. Whereas you can't predict what he's going to do, because he's unique. So you have to make sure you're reinventing yourself constantly. Otherwise, you become stale and you become predictable. So that's.
You went off the rails a bit, and this is all giving you a massive focus.
Yes,
well.
Yeah, definitely,
so it's
definitely.
Kept you good. It's good for anyone who might have gone off the rails. A bit,
I'd say so.
What would you say to someone who's off the rails right now? Watching?
Well,
he should get into training.
Personally, I can't label myself as a role model, because my life isn't perfect, but. It's good to have a name. It's good to aim to get somewhere, because if you're milling through what could be perceived as a a rubbish life or something that isn't really going anywhere, then ultimately you as a person will never go anywhere. So you've got to make sure you've got aspirations in whatever it may be. Just make sure you're striving to get to the top of what you're doing.
And finally, is there anything you'd like to say to your coaches, your loved ones, about your sponsors, and about to the people that you're going to be fighting soon?
I've got nothing to say to my opponents because I talk in the cage. But as far as relatives, friends and family, coaches, sponsors, just a massive thank you, because everyone's been behind me massively, and I really appreciate that. Gary from Solar Supplements, he's got so much on his plate, but he's always got time to help those who need help, and he's a great guy. Chris Emmanuel, Ross, all the guys from Impact LPA. I mean, specifically Chris, because he's done a lot with sort of coaching me to improve my fighter profile. He's a very great mind. He's one of the minds behind Godzilla. So I'd like to thank him a lot. My fiancée Katie, she's been amazing, and my two kids, they're a massive driving force in what I'm doing, and I just thank them all. It's great.
It's really good, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.